Just a little bit about ITS. Annually, the government spent about $23 billion through ITS, and through using GSA, the agency saving is about $1.47 billion, and we support 98% of the agency government-wide. And as far as small business, we percentage of awards won about 42%. This is for your reference. But as you can see, it is an advantage for the government to use GSA. This is just some information about ITS category management for your reference. And I'm going to move on to the DPA training. I'm going to do the introduction and talk a little bit about the definitions, acronyms related to these GWACs, Alliant Small Business GWACs. I'm going to highlight basic contract information, talk about scope, ordering, and cost or pricing, and introduce you to the tools that we have available at our GWAC website, and talk about roles and responsibilities, yours, and yours as a contracting officer, and our responsibilities, the GWACs. Typically, these GWACs, the DPA training is for government acquisition and program managers. Okay, a little bit about our GWAC programs. Our GWAC Program Operations Division is out of Washington, D.C. That's where I'm located. And then we have the Enterprise Acquisition Division is operated out of San Diego. That division manages the Alliant GWACs, the large business vendors. And then we have the Small Business Acquisition Division. It's out of Kansas City. That division manages the Alliant Small Business, VETs, and 8A stars as well. What is a GWAC? It's basically a government-wide acquisition contract. It's defined as a task order or delivery contract for information technology. It's basically GSA is establishing these GWACs for government-wide use, okay? And it's operated by an executive agency designated by OMB. It's not subject to the Economy Act. That means that if you have an IT requirement, you don't need any justification to use these GWACs. You don't have to provide justification subject to the Economy Act. What is an interagency acquisition? This is for your definition. And it's basically you have the requesting agency that needing goods and services, and the servicing agency, which is an agency such as GSA, providing the assisted acquisition to the servicing agency. And the second paragraph is just saying, this is straight out of OMB memorandum. It's just saying that, you know, you as a contracting officer, before you decide to go for an open competition, that you should consider these contract vehicles. They're established for you to use to streamline your procurement lead time. Here, basically, interagency acquisition, determination of best procurement approach. The best procurement approach, it basically requires whether you're doing directed or assisted acquisition. What I'm talking about is directed would be you, such as DOD, would have your own acquisition resources, your own contracting officer that would do solicit, award a contract, and administer the contract and close out the contract. Whereas the assisted acquisition would be, for some reason, your agency lacking the acquisition resources, and you're asking an agency such as GSA to help you solicit and award a contract. Make sure you have certain document in your contract file, okay? And you don't have to have a formal DNF, determination, finding, or justification, unless you decide to do a sole source. Definitions and acronyms, feel free to jump in and ask any questions, okay? Definitions and acronyms. When we talk about the basic contract, what we mean is Alliant Small Business GWAC, task order. Once you have received a delegation of procurement authority, which is the training today, you as a contracting officer, you will be an authorized user, okay? And you will, we consider you as ordering contracting officer, so you can solicit and award a task order against the basic contract, which is the Alliant Small Business GWAC. GWAC contracting officer or procurement contracting officer, this official will have the actual authority to award the basic contract and modify the contract. Delegation of procurement authority, this is a written authority issue. Basically, as you, once you have received the training today, you as a contracting officer will have the authority to use this contract. Fair opportunity. According to FAR Part 16.505, ordering contracting officer, that would be you, must provide each awardee a fair opportunity to be considered for each order exceeding $3,500. Okay? So for instance, Alliant has 47 contractors. When you release or post your, I'm sorry. Alliant, 57. No, Alliant. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got mixed up with Alliant Small Business. Sorry, 57 contractors, okay? When you solicit, when you post a solicitation, you would have to provide fair opportunity to all 57 contractors, okay? Unless you decide to do a sole source, okay? Some basic contract information here. Alliant Small Business, they have the same NAICS code. It's 541512, Computer System Design Services. Program ceiling is $50 billion for Alliant and $15 billion for Alliant Small Business. Term of the basic contract is basically 5 years base and plus 5-year option period. The contract ordering period and option. Currently, Alliant and Alliant Small Business GWAC, they are in their option period. Order period of performance, the maximum order period is 10 years, okay? However, orders may extend no more than 5 years beyond the expiration of the basic contract. So that means, like for instance, Alliant can go out all the way, even though Alliant GWAC will expire on April 30, 2019, it can go out all the way to 2024. What I mean by that is, let's say you decide to award a task order on April 30, 2019. You can have a task order for 5 years, and it will expire on 2024, as long as you award the task order, even the very last day, April 30, 2019, okay? Now, maximum order period is up to 10 years. So right now, you can only award like 9 years. Yeah, okay. Typically, DOD is just 5-year contract, okay? But with civilian agency, you can go a little bit longer. Like for instance, Department of State has a 10-year task order for $2.5 billion using Alliant. Contract access fee, it is 0.75% applied to the total price for contractor performance as billed to the government, and the payment will be made by the contractor. so it's built in. But what we suggest is you have a separate contract line item for the contract access fee, okay? And the same goes with Alliant and Alliant Small Business. Contract type, there's a wide spectrum of contract type from firm fixed price to cost reimbursement to time materials. Sometimes we have hybrid contract types. What I mean by that is you can have multiple contract types within one task order. Let's say, for instance, you have software design where you don't know, it's less defined and you don't know how long it's going to take you to design the software. Then you could have it under time materials contract type, whereas help desk, which based on historical data, you can gauge how much it's going to be, per year. You can do a firm fixed price under that particular contract line item. Limitations on subcontracting. There is a limitation for under Alliant Small Business. The GWAC contracting officer will monitor compliance through contractor reporting. So OCOs will monitor for subcontracting pass-through for orders. So if you're going to award a task order to Alliant Small Business, you want to make sure the prime is doing the majority of the work, okay, over 50%. Goal for subcontracting under Alliant Small Business subcontracting goal is 50%. That's quite robust. Consent to subcontract. Keep in mind that at the time of award, we did not evaluate subcontractors. So if you do have subcontractors performing the work, during source selection, you must evaluate the subcontractor, assess the risk, okay? Facility clearances under Alliant, it is top secret, and under Alliant Small Business, it is secret. However, you can customize the higher level clearance that you require for the contract to perform the work.
Is this working?
Yes.
Okay, great. The brochures that I put out on the back table there, one was for Alliant Small Business. There is a small typo on there. It says top secret for small business. That is not the case. It's secret. Just to let you know. Go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, for socioeconomic credit, you can receive socioeconomic credit under Alliant Small Business. Okay, there are 57 contractors under Alliant, and actually only 48 small businesses under Alliant Small Business. Okay, the other two, they're no longer considered as. I'm sorry, the other 20, they are no longer considered as small business, but they're there to mentor the small businesses, the other 48 small businesses. And basically, only 48 small businesses are allowed to compete for new work. Any questions so far? Okay. Okay, let's talk about scope. Alliant and Alliant Small Business GWAC, they share the same scope, okay? It is very robust. It provides access to a full range of complementary management, technical, and other support services, okay? Its IT services-based solution can include ancillary non-IT components as long as they are integral and necessary to complete or support this IT solution, okay? It is Federal Enterprise Architecture and DoD Enterprise Architecture scope conforms with OMB policy for IT investment, as well as emerging technology. Basically, when you decide whether Alliant or Alliant Small Business can support your requirements, we have a philosophy that anything that is IT anywhere, Alliant and Alliant Small Business can support, okay? There are some emerging technology that these GWACs can support. They're called managed mobility, cybersecurity, cloud computing, data center consolidation. All these functions Alliant and Alliant Small Business can support. Okay. Ancillary support. We have ancillary services such as we allow services such as clerical support, for example, training, construction, alterations, and repair, as long as they are integral and necessary, part of the IT solution. For example, you can have the contractor lay down the cables, so that requires some digging the trenches. That's allowable, okay? Ancillary equipment, hardware, software, licenses, and mounts, those things can be purchased throughout the life of the task order. So basically, you don't have to identify these ancillary equipment up front, okay? You can have a separate contract line item and put a not to exceed ceiling to it. And as the contractor is performing the work, it can go ahead and purchase the equipment on behalf of the government, okay? And it's okay, as long as it's integral and necessary to accomplish this IT services-based solution. Which is nice because sometimes you don't know what you really need, and let's say if you need laptops, but you really don't know how many laptops you will need throughout the life of the task order. These GWACs also allow telecommunications and wireless and satellite products and services, as long as they are part of the solution. Okay. Remember, these GWACs, they are not for commodity buys. Okay, if you want commodity buys, you can use Schedule 70, okay, which GSA offer that. Leasing of real and personal property. Keep in mind that the government will not be the lessee, and it will not be liable for cancellation fees should an option not be exercised. So if you don't have the facility office space for the contractor to be at your facility, then you have to identify up front that they're going to have to work at their site. And of course, that will, the contractor will pass on that cost to the government. But let them know up front so they can factor that cost into their proposal. Indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity, blanket purchase agreement, or known as BPAs, and letter contracts are not permissible order types because these GWACs are already in IDIQ. So you cannot have an IDIQ and then a task order that is an IDIQ also, okay? Remember, fair opportunity is required. At our GWACs, we offer pre-award scope review. This is an optional value-added service. The review team is comprised of technical and contracting professional. We meet Tuesday and Thursday weekly, and we will provide a written response within 2 to 5 days, okay? So if you as a contracting officer, if you have a requirement that is straight up IT services, you don't need us to take a look at it. You have the knowledge and experience to decide whether your requirements would be a good fit under these GWACs. But sometimes where you have a mixture of IT services and then non-IT services combined, like logistics, let's say, IT services combined with logistics and training, you're not sure, send it to us and we'll take a look at it and we'll give you good feedback. Because we have IT expert in-house, we have seasoned contracting officer. We meet twice a week and we discuss and we go over your PWS, and we'll let you know. We'll give you feedback, and you have a written letter saying that, okay, we believe that this PWS is compatible with our GWACs. And you have that document in your contract file. Should you have an auditor come and look at your contract file. Fair opportunity. Ordering contracting officer must provide each awardee a fair opportunity to be considered for order exceeding $3,500 unless you invoke one of these statutory exceptions. And make sure you provide justification, good justification, and make sure you have that document in your contract file if you decide to do a sole source. Okay, there's a posting requirements for orders above simplified acquisition threshold. This is a FAR requirement, it's not a GWAC requirement, so it's nothing different here. So if you decide to do a sole source, there are certain things that you have to do. Protest limitations, the threshold is $10 million in total value, okay? Except if there's a order increase in scope or period or maximum value of the GWACs, okay? You have a broad discretion in terms of developing your appropriate order placement procedures. You can do a streamlined FAR Part 16.505 where you don't have to establish competitive range or anything like that. Or you can decide to do FAR Part 15.3 source selection approach. It's up to you, but if you decide to do a FAR Part 16.505, which is streamlined method, ordering method, then you cannot decide to switch lane and do a sole source. Do a 15.3 source selection approach. You can do OR proposals. You can do multi-phase approach as well. You down select as well. Just a reminder here, task order exceeding $5 million, you want to have a clear statement of your agency requirement, a reasonable response period. Typically, it's 30 days, okay? You want to identify the factors, evaluation factors, and where award is made on a best value basis. And then provide an opportunity for post-award debriefing. This is important. Contractors spend a lot of time and effort in terms of putting the proposal together. Of course, they're disappointed that they did not get the contract, but you can provide them constructive feedback, okay? Identify the strengths and weaknesses of their proposals. And it's a learning experience for them. Clauses from the basic contract will flow down to the task order. Additional clauses may include it. If you have DFAR clauses, you can include that, okay? And also, if your acquisition is a commercial acquisition, then you include FAR Part 12 clauses as well. Any questions? Okay. Cost of pricing for all task order. Keep in mind the overall price must be fair and reasonable, regardless of the contract type that you're using, okay? And where there's adequate price competition, okay, that means that you receive 2 or more offers. You should not ask any more information, okay? That should help. Getting 2 or more offers is enough for you to determine price reasonableness. And you cannot ask for certified cost of pricing data. Cost reimbursement, contract type. This is more risky type of contract because the risk is on the government, okay? So keep in mind that you have to look at the cost realism, make sure the cost elements are realistic for the work to be performed, reflect a clear understanding of the requirements and consistent with the offeror's technical proposals. Okay? And you also have to do a cost realism analysis because it will help you determine the probable cost of performance as well. Time materials, labor hour contract types. We have loaded hourly labor rates in our basic contract, okay? That is, these rates are CONUS, okay? Keep in mind subcontractor rates were not evaluated, okay? So if you have subcontractor involved, you need to be able to determine price reasonableness when the subcontractor involves the subcontractor rates. Okay? If you have OCONUS requirements, you have to go to the Department of State to factor in additional costs for working overseas. Also, these rates are useful in terms of help you develop your independent government cost estimate. Let's say if this is a new requirement and you don't have historical data at all, but you have some idea of the labor categories you may need. What you can do is just go into the Alliant website, okay, or Alliant Small Business website, and look at those loaded hourly labor rates, okay? And that will help you come up with a government cost estimate. Deviation from established hourly labor rates. Typically, these rates should not be exceeded. If they are, contractor must explain in their proposal why they exceeded. It could be, for various reasons like geographic location, or you want a higher clearance. That would cost money. Unique professional skill, we have 80 labor categories, okay? Under Alliant, but you don't have to stick with those 80 labor categories, okay? Contractor can propose, and you as a contracting officer can accept a new labor categories as long as in support of your IT services-based solution, okay? So we give you a lot of flexibility to structure your requirements and to get the best value for the government. Okay, tools. We have the e-buy online. That is a way for you to submit to post your solicitation, okay, e-buy. And that's one way that you can adhere to the fair opportunity requirement in our GWACs. We also, at our website, we have the conform contract, okay, the ordering guide, as well as T&M and labor hour pricing. Statement of work samples, okay. These are examples that we redacted, but they're actual requirements that solicited an award by different agencies for IT solutions. Okay, here we have the Acquisition Gateway is a new GSA resource that provides transaction data. Within the Acquisition Gateway, we have many things, but one thing I want to highlight is the prices paid information. These are basically compiled. We have, I think under Alliant, we have over 500 task orders, right?
Right, I think 550, almost 50.
Right, yeah. And then under Alliant Small Business, I think we have like close to 500 Alliant Small Business. Anyways, prices paid information, this is actual prices paid and compiled by the government, by GSA, and it's listed by labor categories, okay, and also by agency. So actual prices paid, like let's say a computer programmer, you can look it up and know this is the actual price that the government paid for. And it's by geographic location as well. So this will help you in terms of with your negotiation, okay, as the baseline, also to develop your independent government estimate. Okay. Some GWAC program responsibilities here. We manage compliance through post-award scope reviews. We make sure that whenever you award a task order, that your task order, the requirements are within the scope of the GWACs. We monitor subcontracting at the basic contract level, so you don't have to be concerned with that. We advise customers and contractor on the proper use of these GWACs through education and outreach. We also conduct program meetings with our contractors, discuss issues, things that come up that impact the acquisition community, impact our contracts, and how we can create and value to our customers and pass on that. We also perform risk mitigation and contractor oversight, again with the outreach and education, but also we offer the pre-award scope review upon request. Again, this is optional. Okay? You don't have to send it to us because you are a warranted contracting officer. Okay? Annually, we do report to OMB on client satisfaction, competition at the task order level, cumulative number and total value of the orders, number, value of performance-based order. And then lastly, we do a complete closeout. Now, your responsibility. You are responsible for the task order from cradle to grave. You have to adhere to the GWACs, the FAR terms, and the GWAC terms, conditions, the FAR, and also adhere to your agency supplement. Okay? And again, scope compliance, ensure the order is and remains within the scope of the basic contract. Any question? Okay. Some administrative duties here. Make sure you port your task order to FPDS, next generation, per your agency policy. Provide a complete task order and subsequent modification to us. Okay. Again, fair opportunity. You want to ensure all contractors are provided fair opportunity to be considered. Also, task order protests, disputes, claims, you are responsible for those, should they occur. Monitor, evaluate, and report contractor task order performance. This is important. As a contracting officer, you have to do this. This is a FAR requirement, okay? You have to do an interim performance evaluation. How often you do that, you have to adhere to your agency supplement, okay? But you have to provide feedback to the contractor, continuously provide feedback, see how they're doing, make sure that they're meeting the acceptable standards, okay? There should be no surprises, okay? Task order closeout, make sure that you receive a release of claim before you close out the task order. Otherwise, you're thinking you're closing out the task order and then you don't receive a release of claim, and then a couple of years down the road, the contractor come up with a bill. You don't want that to happen because you've already moved on. These GWACs, they offer a comprehensive IT services-based solutions. We have pre-qualified pool of contractors. These contractors are one of the best. They are the best in the IT industry, okay? They have great past performance, experience to do all that is IT, anything IT anywhere, okay? It's already pre-competed, it's flexible, it's easy to use, it will reduce your procurement lead time. And we have offer a full spectrum of contract types. So you can structure your requirements as you see fit, as to fulfill your agency needs. Small business credit for federal clients is available under Alliant Small Business GWAC. Protest limitation is $10 million threshold. Okay, keep it under $10 million, and you won't be protested. Okay, but make sure it's IT scope. All right. These GWACs, we provide great support. We're here to help you. You know, in terms of providing you feedback on your requirements. I mean, we help you do market research, at least some part of it. Okay, so we're here. This is our contact information for Alliant Small Business. And this is contact information for Alliant. And I think you should have this slides, right?